we go to a public office, and we don't have a space for where nursing mothers can breastfeed their children, or not even a crèche. It's a deliberate way of excluding these people from having opportunities of uh, carrying out their jobs diligently and successfully. And then it's also mass development in that aspect, because we all know that women are key drivers in development, and they have a lot of success stories to put out there as part of the work that Nigerian women have contributed to not just the development of this country, but to our economy as well. I talk about investing in fostering a culture of learning and growth mindset. For me, this is what I say to every woman out there. You should always aspire to be a better you. There is no knowledge that is wasted. For every opportunity that comes your way, make use of it. Make sure you build up your profile. Learning, you can continue to learn until you are in your 80s. Learning is continuous, and new learnings emerge every day. Now that we have the digital space where a lot can be learned, do not take that space, for granted. It's a place where networking, learning, synergy, and partnership, it strives. And that is where a lot of development and economic uh, empowerment, is also acquired. Now, when you talk about economic empowerment, for instance, we have a lot of frameworks in this country that puts women down, especially from acquiring, owning land and other things. We've been talking about the 5 gender bills since the 10th Assembly has come back. We are looking at a scenario where Nigeria will enshrine this in the constitution, because if you look at other countries who have achieved this 35% gender um, parity, we are talking about equity, not equality. Countries like Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, they had it in their constitution. And it is only when we have this in the constitution that anyone who fails to do that across boards, will be held responsible, either as going against the constitution, or could be even taken to court for the for the for going against the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it's an opportunity for me also to give us this insight that when we ask that we should set aside certain seats in the National Assembly for women, we are not saying that they are more special people, but we are saying that they are a set of people who have suffered long-term marginalization. And then globally, we know that when you want to create a balance, for instance, somebody painted a scenario, you have two people in a race and the other person has run so fast and the person is almost at the finish line. If you want to aid the other person to be on the same pedestal with that person who has almost gotten to the finish line, what do? You remove all barriers, you remove all things that will hinder him or her from achieving that race in the shortest possible time, which is what we are asking for. And this is, we are not just doing it just as women alone. We have male allies and champions who are pushing this cause with us. And we are calling on every Nigerian who knows about what development is about women and children, and how it affects if you have your sister, your mother, your wife, and your daughter. Most importantly, you will say that if this is in the constitution, in the next 10 or 15 years, your daughter will be of age or should be a core beneficiary of your benevolence of keying into this campaign and pushing for women inclusion in governance. Now, I want to talk about the reason why we should take this very seriously and how it affects the economic growth of the Nigerian woman. You can see that when we go for campaigns and for voting, you see more women in the space. The women are very important when it comes to lobbying for the positions, campaigning, going door to door, asking people to come out to vote. Even when they are on the queues, they don't get tired. But how come when elections are won, why don't the women, why are they not found in the room, in the boardroom? Why are they not on the negotiation tables trying to do the jobs of governance alongside with their male counterparts? The simple reason is that we don't have uh, our female elderly women in that room, because most of the time the men who are in that room don't actually want those spaces for themselves, but they want those spaces for younger men who are either their mentees or their godsons. Where are the godmothers? This question has been in the public space for in recent times, and it's a clarion call for all women who have held political office, who have held government office, who are also at the zenith of their careers, even in the corporate environment, to ensure that they are intentional about succession plan and mentoring. It's very important. And it is very, very key to see that whatever you're doing, you are teaching somebody else to take over from you as soon as you are living there. Now I bring it back to what the League of Women Voters stands for and what it pushes for. We push for women inclusion, and at the heart of it is ensuring that mentorship is a, a huge tool to drive this process. I took over from the founder as the president of the organization. She is in her early 80s, and she handed over to me in my mid 40s. This is because she has realized that they should be a generational shift that comes with dynamics of the times and comes with the energy that the times require to strive and to push for women inclusion. They have done their bit, and strategically they recognize that it is time to give the stage to a younger person who would also bring in new blood, injects new dynamics, and make the space more open for more younger people to come on board. It has to do with everything that concerns us as women, include from the home front. We do it to our girl child, sometimes even excluding the boys, making the girl child more responsible, more prepared for leadership. But by the time she grows up, she gets into the society refuses to give her the space to exhibit and to carry out all the trainings that she's been given all through her life to become a leader. Lastly, I would say that in all of this, it is good to always have an evaluation and an impact analysis of what we have been doing, where we are going, and the expectations of why we want to do what we are doing. As leaders, it is important to see that in everything we are doing, being you a female leader or a male leader, make sure that there is fair representation. Always wear your gender lens. Ensure that the woman is taken into consideration from your planning to your programming to even the distribution of responsibilities and goodwill. Ensure that your mapping is inclusive, and it gives a woman an opportunity to be in the room, to give her quota of experience, to ensure that whatever she has to bring to the table is encouraged and is enhanced by ensuring that she has the enabling environment to strive, to lead, and to contribute. Thank you very much for listening.
Wow, thank you very much. Those of us that are in the webinar, if you are there, please give Honorable Irene Naona a digital hand clap. Thank you very much. I thought this was so insightful. She talked about the power of investing in women. And she talked about investing, she highlighted the fact that in business, Nigeria is doing very well. Pretty much all the bank CEOs today in Nigeria are women. Never in the history of this country has it ever happened like that. And she also talked about, highlighted how women are often asked, you know, is it possible to have it all? How do you balance? I would say, Irene, that I get that question a lot. You know, we grew up believing that women cannot have it all. I was watching Michelle Obama's tour on her book, Becoming. And I remember the conversation between Michelle Obama and Oprah, where they said, as a woman, yes, we can have it all. Maybe not at the same time, but we can have it all. And so this is the day and age where we must recognize when, how we can have it all, and also our why. You know, that was one of the things that she talked about. She talked about also developing a robust framework, an inclusive framework. Many organizations do not make provision for women in the workplace. Some women have to struggle to keep their children in a daycare far away. Last webinar we had medical practitioners, and we were talking about fertility issues. These are issues that are pertinent to women, because oftentimes when women make career choices, they seem to lose out on family. And we recognize that organizations have started investing in women by paying for IVF for women to help them balance their family and their work life. For women, we do not, I dare say, we do not have a distinction between our work and our family life. Our work is our family life, because you are constantly working. And one thing that she said that really stood out to us is that she gave a charge to us as women to aspire to be better versions of ourselves. He said for every woman should aspire to be a better version of ourselves. And so we must understand why. She also talked about the critical importance of mentorship and succession planning, and the importance of taking advantage of the digital space. Which leads me to our next speaker. You know, before we go into the discussion session where we will have the opportunity to hear from our audience, our webinar is set up so that our participants are able to engage as much as possible. So if you have any comments or any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box and we will respond to you. During the discussion session, we would want to hear from you as well. So let me just shift gears now to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is a young star. She is a student in Morocco. I met her last month when we went to speak in Morocco, and they had a competition for young speakers. And we found her speech quite inspiring. So, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to introduce Asia Dendan. I would apologize for the noise that you can hear in her background. She's currently in school. Her teachers have permitted her to come. This is her first international, it's a webinar, public speaking. Sia is going to be leveraging the digital space and mentor the next generation of young women. They can invest in the next generation of young women. So, Asia, Danden, over to you. Help me talk to your classmates and let them know that the silence will be
So, first of all, thank you so much for this invitation. It's a pleasure for me, and I'm so honored to participate on this type of events. So, prepare to be astonished for today. I will share with you a tale of unimaginable power and potential. We live in a world where the mightiest force for change lies dormant, waiting to be unleashed. The power of women. Imagine a world where women are not just equal but celebrated for their strength, intelligence, and resilience. A world where every woman, regardless of her background or circumstance, has the opportunity to fulfill her dreams and make a difference in the world. But alas, this world remains exclusive for many women around the globe. They face barriers that seem unsurmountable, obstacles that defy reason, and challenges that defy belief. Yet, in the face of adversity, women rise. Empowering women is not just about leveling the playing field. It's about rewriting the rules of the game. It's about shattering glass ceilings, breaking down barriers, and defying expectations. It's about harnessing the untapped potential of half the world's population and unleashing a tidal wave of innovation, creativity, and progress. Education is the cornerstone of this transformation. When we educate a girl, we ignite a spark that can light up the world. Education is not just a tool for empowerment, it's a weapon of mass creation, a force that can change the course of history. But education alone is not enough. We must also provide women with the tools and opportunities they need to succeed. This means access to healthcare, economic resources, and support networks. It means challenging societal norms and stereotypes that limit women's aspirations and potential. Inclusive leadership is another crucial aspect of empowering women. When women are represented in positions of power and decision making, their voices are heard, perspectives are valued, and policies are more inclusive and equitable. By promoting diversity and inclusion in leadership, we can ensure that women's needs and priorities are addressed at all levels of society. But perhaps the most unbelievable aspect of empowering women is the ripple effects it creates. When we empower a woman, we don't just change her life, we change the lives of everyone around her. Women are natural collaborators, nurturers, and leaders. When we empower them, they empower others, creating a domino effect of positive change that reverberates throughout society. In addition, Investing in women brings a significant benefit to economics, societies, and cultures economically. Empowering women boosts productivity and growth. Studies reveal that when women have access to education and economic opportunities, they invest more in their families and communities, leading to poverty reduction and sustainable development. Socially, investing in women fosters gender equality and cohesion. It empowers women to engage fully in decision making process and fosters greater social inclusivity. Culturally, investing in women challenges traditional gender roles and stereotypes, promoting diversity and acceptance in society. Moreover, investing in business led by women presents distinct opportunities and challenges. Women entrepreneurs often encounter obstacles like limited access to capital, networks, and mentorship. To overcome these challenges, investors can implement strategies such as providing targeted financial support, mentorship, and training programs, and fostering networking opportunities. By investing in women led businesses, investors can access new markets, drive innovation, and achieve attractive returns while promoting gender equality and economic empowerment. Thirdly, empowering female entrepreneurs involves addressing barriers to capital, mentorship, and support networks. Access to capital remains a significant hurdle for women entrepreneurs, with studies indicating they receive a disproportionately small share of venture capital funding. To address this, investors and policy makers can establish initiatives like venture capital funds for women-led businesses, crowdfunding platforms, and loan programs tailored to women entrepreneurs, of course. Mentorship and support networks play a vital role, offering guidance, advice, and networking opportunities to develop skills and connection. Case studies and success stories provide tangible evidence of the return on investments ROI of supporting women by showcasing the accomplishments of women entrepreneurs and the impact of gender inclusive investment strategies. Investors can inspire confidence and rally support for women's economic empowerment. Success stories illustrate the transformative power of backing women, demonstrating positive outcomes for individuals, businesses, and society. Whether in startups or multinational corporations, investing in women delivers significant returns both financially and socially. So, like I'm inspired by a woman like that presents my dream. My dream is to become an airline pilot. And in Morocco, like we have the first female pilot that started her career at the age of 16 years old. So it could be like an example of successful women that really inspire me and that really encourage me to do all my efforts in order to realize, to achieve my dream. So I will continue now. Uh, Building inclusive workplace is crucial for fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion in investment decisions. Research indicates that diverse teams outperform homogeneous ones, leading to better decision making and innovation. Investors can promote diversity and inclusion by adopting policies supporting gender. Advocacy and collaboration are key for women's economic empowerment. By influencing policies and working together, stakeholders create an ecosystem supporting women's financial independence and contribution to economic growth. So let us dare to dream of a world where women are not just empowered but unstoppable. Let us dare to believe in the impossible and strive for the extraordinary. For when we unleash the full potential of women, there is no limit to what we can achieve. Thank you. This is the end of my speech, and I hope that you benefited a lot from this, and especially the message that I want to send. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asia. Please, let's give Asia a digital hand clap as we always do on the comments. You know, I would say Asia is a teenager that I found quite outstanding. You remember the last during the LBS, the Leaders Business School conference, that where you said when you're in a dark place, remember that you're being planted.
Oh, thank you. I will remember the day until my death, because we're really you encourage me to do better and to be an unbelievable speaker, especially the phrase, the sentence that I told was really impacting on you, and thank you so much. And remember, when you're in a dark place, you think that you've been buried, but actually you've been planted.
Yes, thank you so much, Asia. Thank you. We're going to have a brief discussion. I don't know if you'll allow you a little more time. I have a few questions to ask from what we have talked about, but just a quick summary of what Asia spoke about in her presentation. I think she talked about the benefits of investing in women. And one thing that you said was you were inspired by the young people or young women are inspired by women who represent their dreams. That means that if we're going to have a next generation of empowered women, then we also have to, older women have to be a representation of the dream of the younger women. And I think that to what Honorable Irene talked about when she gave her own speech, the role of mentoring. So unfortunately, our third speaker is unavoidably absent at this time. She's in a different time zone, and so she had an emergency. But just a brief background about what our third speaker would have talked about, Asia Dombo. We will probably have her on another webinar series. We wanted her to come and talk about emerging opportunities. There are things that we take for granted that we do as women that are not counted as significant, that are not quantified in monetary terms. And that is why society is not benefiting from the value that we add. And I'm saying this as a background, to lay a background to the few minutes of conversation that we're going to have with the two speakers here and Honorable Ivy. Now, the roles that women play domestically, if we were to pay house helps or to pay professional staff, how much would that cost us? Another thing that we do and we take for granted, which is what our other speaker, Alexia, would have spoken about. In America, you know what we call in Nigeria omugwo. In Africa, we have the culture when a woman puts to bed, her prenatal and postpartum care is done traditionally. When I went to Morocco, I went to a beautiful spa where they take care of their bodies, they take care of their women. I came out feeling very fresh. We have the traditional practices that we do traditionally. Now, what they've done, you know, in the West is that they've professionalized that. And so women who are retired, women who are out of job, that nurturing role
also, yeah.
quantified as a service. They call them doulas. So Alexia is a certified doula, and she spoke on it in the at the conference in Casablanca. Unfortunately, she's not here, but maybe we'll have a recording of her session and we will share on our YouTube page for women that might want to consider that. Now we have women who are getting married older in life. Sometimes their moms are not available to provide that kind of support. How can we mainstream the role that women play so that society can benefit from that value? And I think Honorable Irene talked about that when she said we must develop a robust, inclusive framework. Can you touch on that, Honorable Irene? If you're there, can you expatiate on that, you know, and see how we can mainstream some of those roles so that when we go away from this webinar, we can have something that we can align. And now that, you know, we talked about access to finance issues, we have a conversation about how our female bank MDs can incorporate that. Can we share some ideas that can help guide them create an inclusive framework that will empower women? Honorable Irene, can you answer that?
Yeah.
And then maybe Asia will talk about the mentoring as well. What are the things that would further encourage young women? What can older women do to ensure mentoring and succession planning? Honorable Irene, over to you.
So, like, first of all, like, there is a quote that says, when you educate a boy, you educate a man. And when you educate a girl, you educate the whole generation. Of course, the women raise like children, can be married, can like her time is full, completely full, but also she can realize her dreams. Like she has an ambition, she can also do it. She can do both of them. And also, like when we talk about like mentorship and stuff, like for me personally, I'm an ambitious person, even though like my dream is to become an airline pilot, and you know that my life will be every day. My whole life will be in the sky. But I love that. I can have a family and I can like manage between family role and also like my work, because my ambition, like my husband cannot just say that just stay home and go like raise your children and stuff. It's my dream and I need to realize it. I need to feel like the vibe of flying, the things that are really unbelievable for me. And what else? I think that women are the whole generation. We can't imagine a world without a woman. Women can give birth, can also like be can have like economic, cultural, a lot of positions and the society. Even though like let's say an example, police officers and soldiers, like we see like women that that charge on that. So I'm really proud of women. And also like the topic, how can we empower women, is really an important topic that really will serve like the women generation and the generations that will come after. That's it.
Thank you very much, Asia, for that. She talked about mentoring. Honorable Irene, are you there? Can you shed more light about robust structures? What would you say to the women in the private sector? How can we empower women? You talked about countries like Rwanda, Tanzania, and Kenya achieving 35% gender parity. How can we do that in other African countries? Yesterday, I attended another International Women's Day event for women in class. We had the young children from the secondary school children talking about, we had them talking about a Nigeria where a Gloria will be the governor of Kano and a Chinedu will be the governor of Osun State. Now, our diversity, and that also speaks to our diversity in Africa as a continent. We are so diverse, and because of our diversity, we, the barriers, I think it sort of like places another level of barriers, a barrier that we have as women. So, Honorable Irene, if you're there, would you turn on your video and respond to that and just expatiate on this inclusive structure from the grassroots level? What can we start doing now? How can we hold the hands of one another, just like Asia has said? Irene, are you there? Would you please unmute? Okay, she did say that she was in a training. So while we're waiting for her to come back, there are a few women that I've seen. I've seen some women who are doing well. I see Mrs. Ngozi Oyewole. I see Mrs. Christiana Swanya, if you're here. It would be nice to hear you chip in. These are some women. I see Mrs. Funke Adekunle. These are women who are top in their career, who are also wives, they are mothers, they've raised grown-up children. In 1 minute, can you, for the women that are there, in 1 minute, can you shed more light on, you can talk about the challenges you've had rising to the top, managing your career and your family to rise, and also talk about how you've been able to overcome them. I see Mrs. Awa Matashi as well, Mercy Aina. Please, even if I don't mention your name, Stella Diamond. This is open to the room now. Share your experience. Feel free to unmute yourself and make a comment. Alu Azege, would you comment on this? Miss Honorable Irene says she will make her contributions once she hears from everybody in closing. So can we have any comments? And if there are men in the room, I see my boss, Abel, Mr. Abel Onyeke. If you have any comments, we have he for she's, Francis Obi. Okay. So there's a comment in the chat group. Alu Ezege says, time management is key. A supportive husband is also a critical ingredient to have on this journey of success, to have it all. So thank you, Alu Ezege, for that comment. Would you, if you can, expatiate on it? I know oftentimes men feel, when I sent out the notification, someone said women have taken over the banking industry now, so men need to start fighting for their position. But I think Alu's comment has said a lot. We're not here to compete with the men, but we're here to collaborate, to add value. I think when men and women work together as a team, one will chase 1,000, two will chase 10,000. But I'd like to hear from other people. Thank you, Alu, for that comment. If you want to shed more light on it, please feel free. We have Honorable Bibiana as well, Opera 4. If you want to comment, please feel free to comment. I see Abigail Olanloye. Okay, we seem to be quiet here. Any contributions from our people, men, women? In Kiruka, Pedro Ayala, do you have a comment as well? Please feel free to unmute or put your hand up and we will would encourage you to unmute and speak.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Christiana Twanya, and well, I'll just touch on how I was able to stay and make it to where I am today. I had a lot of challenges, but the thing is, I was determined. I was very determined because I knew that I had a lot of obstacles, especially when I was a broadcaster. The men didn't want us to go, that far. But I went far because 1, I was resilient, 2, I was determined, 3, I was very honest, and I knew my onions, so I knew what to do at every point in time. So I was confident of the fact that even though the men were there to, discourage me and all that, I was focused. And I didn't mind. And so that focus, resilience, and determination to make it to the top was what really saw me through. I had challenges, but those challenges, I dealt with them face on. And I wasn't, two-faced about it. And I was outspoken. I didn't, when they came up, I didn't go to the background. I was outspoken, and that was how it was for me. And then, of course, I was very, very, what would I say? Because it was the civil service, I wasn't, I was different. I was very intentional about the things I did. And so even at any point in time when they called me for anything, I stood up to the truth. And that was what saw me through. That's all.
Thank you. Wow, thank you so much for that comment.
As
short as it was power-packed, because you talked about, for us to be able to invest, for the best investment as women that we can make in ourselves is, first of all, our own resilience. We must be resilient and determined to succeed, and also be honest. Honesty is a broad word. I don't know whether we have time to expatiate on it, but if you can, in the chat group, just let us know what you mean by honest. Is it being honest with ourselves, with what our skills, our capabilities, or just being truthful, being people of integrity? But more importantly, we must know our onions. Be good at what you are doing. Let our work, let our abilities speak for us. I don't think any of the bank CEOs that we have in Nigeria today, or any of the women that are where they are today, actually got it without merit. You hear about, I was reading the latest one, Madame Adora's biography. And I remember as a young person, as a teenager, when I came to Abuja, her name was widespread as a star performer in Zenith Bank. And she remained in this bank for 30 years. So being committed and loyal to an organization for 30 years, I would like to hear her story and hear what she would have gone through, what she would have overcome to get to that point. So knowing your onions is key. And you said something about speaking up, being vocal about, what we're going through, being vocal about our perspectives. I think that was profound. We have comments in the chat group here. Alu Azege added, she said, but indeed, thanks for the quote you made earlier that women can have it all at different times. Women must remain focused on the goal and be determined to reach the mark and make an impact. I think that would be Mark. It is never an easy route, especially because of societal expectations, which are usually limiting. And Josh Ochu says, value has no sex. I welcome an era where people men and women alike are concerned with creating value that matters to us as humans in a shared community above what separates us in our sex, religion, tribe, or creed. And Alu Azege says, unpaid care work is another intersecting area we must continue to focus on as women. I think that is also another kettle of fish altogether. And that's what Alexia would have dwelt, significantly on, because in America, they've been able to capture that and they have it as a chartered institute for the work that women do as care workers. They call them doula, but we call them omugo, midwife, house help, whatever. But that is something that we really need to look at. And Christiana Soya says, yes, when I said honest, I mean doing the right thing at the right time and sticking up to what you know is right. That is fantastic, fantastic. So we have quite fantastic feedback. Thank you for the engagement. Please keep the comments going in the chat group. Before we go on, our media team is going to permit me to talk about our next webinar series. The Spotlight webinar series is a monthly webinar series. Ideally, we hold it every third Tuesday of the month. And it's usually for about 75 minutes, where we talk about different issues that border on business and life that will just help us to be empowered to build the capacity of people at work and even at home. We cover a broad range of topics. And so for our next Spotlight webinar series next month, we're going to have a special one. We have a special guest. We're doing it in collaboration with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. And we have a guest speaker who will be joining us. He is Professor Blade Patelli. His resume is fantastic, and we're going to be looking at navigating the nexus between technology, innovation, policy, and leadership. That's going to take place at on the 16th of April. The timing there is not correct. It's 1 p.m. our time. That is when we'll be holding the webinar. So if you're interested, we will share the link. Please indicate in the chat box and we'll share the link for the registration. We have other panelists that will be there. We have Franklin Matthew, who would be there as well. And we invite you all to join next month's webinar. It will be fantastic. That is building up. MIT actually has significant interest in Africa. They're trying to leverage, it's an Ivy League school, and they're known for their for being at the cutting edge of innovation and technology. And so what we're hoping to do is to have like brainstorming sessions and hackathons where we will come up with solutions that are customized to our own problems. We don't want to take what is happening in China or the West or UK or Europe or US and just dump it on ourselves, but see how we can adapt that to our own environment. So please, you'll be hearing from us that if you registered for this webinar, we encourage you to register as quickly as possible, as we would have limited spaces for that webinar. That being said, let me go back to the chat group. There's a comment from Mercy before Irene comes back. Irene, I'll just read the comments and then you can round up you can put everything up, everything together. So in the chat group, we have Mercy Aina, who says, thank you, Mrs. Semlek, for the recognition. Motherhood and the pursuit of a career and being successful at it is not an easy journey. It is painstaking, sacrificial to stand out and still keep your home. Excellence is not mystical. It has no respect for sexism. We strive to be excellent in what we do, and we don't follow the status quo. The home front, which also calls for our undivided attention, balance is the key. Women are created with grace to multitask and nothing sleeps. Mercy says, balance is the key. Torkida Semlek says, as a he for she, encouraging men to support women is pivotal to fostering a society where equality thrives and all individuals can reach their full potential. When men actively support gender equality, they not only contribute to the well-being and advancement of women, but also help to build stronger and more inclusive communities where everyone can thrive. Thank you so much. I see people saying, I'm interested in the next webinar. And our Matashi says, the key or my drive has been focused, consistent, and not giving up is the key for my success. See, consistency is key, resilience, not giving up. Our Matashi, I know, whom I know personally, has raised 3 successful children, balances her home. She's a farmer, she's a nutrition specialist, she's a food scientist, and she also has a successful husband. And women who are married to successful men know that that is also another MBA on its own, managing a successful husband. So thank you very much for sharing your insights. And Gold Owen says, one of the things I've noticed is the accessibility of women role models. This is very important. Actually, in Stonewall Communities, this is a call to action that we are going to have. We are going to call on women role models so that young girls like Asia or young ladies like Asia who are teenagers and have big aspirations, life is not going to happen to them and their aspirations will be cut short. I really wish that I started having mentors, women mentors in my late 20s and my 30s. I'm in my 40s now. I really wish that from a young age, I had an older woman to handhold me outside of my family, because, you know, within the family, we don't really value what we have within the home. And we're also limited by the knowledge of the people that we have. I wish I had the women that I have in my network now. I had them much, much earlier in life. I would have avoided so many mistakes that I have made. I would have done so much better than I am doing right now. And I pray that we would have more women who are in their 40s, who are in their 30s now. Every woman, there's always somebody in front of you, and there's always somebody behind you that you can mentor. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, Sandra Obona, for saying this webinar is really inspiring and impactful. This is what we hope to achieve. Thank you so much. Let's keep the comments going as Irene puts a wrap on this webinar for us with her final comments.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kate. You've been so inspiring and very apt in your interventions. So I want to first and foremost speak to the structure of support systems for women. It's a very important and a very key aspect of a middle-aged woman in our society. And it's something that we should be very intentional about. This support system, in those days when our mothers were having us, they had their very little cliques. Even in the villages, every child belonged to every mother, in the village. And if a teenage girl gets pregnant, for instance, she gets support from all the mothers in the village. Even if her mother is not happy about her situation, she gets this support, and she's able to pull through, in her retaining her mental state intact. It is important for us to see that in our digital age, we are able to have groups, organizations that bring women together, talk about women issues, give women the opportunity to unwind, to relax. These things are important for our mental well-being because of the pressure, the stress, and other issues that we find in workplace, in the society. This is one thing that men do intentionally. hanging out with the guys. And it's a very it's a stress tonic. And we must be deliberate about it as women. Coming back to um, how women should navigate, I will just touch a little on some of the things that have been mentioned. Determination, knowledge of self. If you know yourself, you know your driving power. Be determined, stick to it, be committed, be consistent. Know that where you are today, you are not there alone. You are there representing the women. And so do not be lousy about ethics. Do not be lousy about carrying yourself. Do not be lousy about your standards. Always ensure that you are at your best. You are taking advantage of every situation to represent the whole effort very well. This is because there are enormous opportunities for us, but they have been taken away from us. And so for every little opportunity that a woman finds herself in the room, it is her sole responsibility to ensure that she represents us in that room well, so that she will be able to, by her results, gain access for other women into that same. Now, there's a trend that came into the social media recently about feminizing corruption. Women are naturally very ethical and prudent people. We are known for being straightforward. I'm not saying that we don't have women who are not straightforward, but 98% of women, that is the reason why political parties make sure that their treasurers are always, even on their day of elections, they give the women the money they use for vote buying. And so let us remain in that life that we are. Let us disabuse the feminization of corruption in our country, and let us be intentional. I call on women of my generation to stand up to the occasion and mentor the younger women. I cannot talk about those before me because I don't belong to their generation, and they have chosen their path where they wait for young women to struggle to the top, and then they start identifying with you by the time you have made all your mistakes, you have struggled on your own to the top. However, it is a clarion call to men of my generation, and I also I give my commitment that I will not only lead, I will lead the campaign of the generation of godmothers. I will also ensure that the younger girls will not be left alone in the cold to struggle up to the top. We all don't have to make the same mistakes. If I have made those mistakes, it is enough that the mistakes should end with me by me offering myself to mentor younger girls to do a lot of hand holding and ensuring that they don't go through the same path or route that I did. Because perhaps if I had a hand to hold me, I would have gotten to the top earlier and better. Lastly, these are my words for takeaway. Leadership isn't just an innate gift. It's a skill that can be nurtured and developed. Investing in leadership development is a game changer, not only for individuals, but also for the entire organization and a nation. Let's dive into credible benefits and strategies behind the transformative practice of ensuring that leadership is purposeful driven. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a very, very exciting time with you all.
Thank you so much. Please, let's give Honorable Irene a big round of applause for this closing remark. I do not need to say any more. Our time is far spent. The team has put in the chat box the link to register for next month's webinar and the QR code that you can scan to join. Please be sure to do that. It's going to be another exciting time. Key themes that are emerging from this webinar is that we really do need role models and mentors that young people can look up to, so that we can handhold and support the young peoples, the young ladies. And one thing that she said is, in addressing corruption right now in Nigeria, there is the sentiment that, you know, corruption has the agenda in Nigeria, and that only us as women can change the narrative. So please join us. We would encourage you to follow us on our social media pages. We're on LinkedIn. Follow the Stalwart Group on LinkedIn. Follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook handle on Instagram. We will keep you posted on what we will do. And we pray that, you know, as all these ideas emerge, we will be able to operationalize them and set up structures that will not only carry women along, but will carry our nation and our continent along. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. We have come to the end of the webinar. I would encourage those that can. We still have more people joining, even though we've come to the end of the webinar. If you can turn on your video and say hello to us, you know, permit us to just say hello to the house as you leave. We want to say thank you. We look forward to seeing you on the 16th of April. Okay, you may wish to plan a mentor pool to bridge the. Thank you, Farida, for that comment. Wow, it came in at the last minute, but that is so good. Can we take you up on that and hear your thoughts on that? We are open to ideas on how we can pull that. Irene is smiling because with the network of women that she leads, I am sure that this mentoring, NILOV will be more than happy to hear. I'm the Assistant Secretary of NILOV as well. And so I'm sure that she has pledged her support. So we will do our best to set up a structure, a mentor pool for women. Thank you very much, Farida. And please, Irene, if there's a link or a way that people can also join NILOV, please share, so that also we will empower our women, and our women will do well, not just in business or in the private sector, but also in governance and leadership, because that is where we have a huge gap. You did mention that in your speech. So as we round up, please, people are leaving their final words in the group. For the next few minutes, we'll be doing that before we end the webinar. We have last minute comments. Thank you, Mohammed Musa Gombe, for that comment saying that you are impressed and you will join early enough when next it happens. Okay, please join the next one. There is, do we have the QR code on the screen so people can just take a snapshot from their own screens as well? And if you left your email, we will reach out to you for the next webinar. The next webinar is going to have a slightly different coloration. There are so many people here. I see people that I look up to, people that friends from way back. Thank you very much for joining, colleagues, professionals, all over. There's a wide audience here. Thank you so much for joining. People are also dropping in their emails. Also, please don't forget to email us if you have any comments or questions or suggestions. And I promise you that we will get back to you. We will take on board these ideas and incorporate it into our programs so that we can have a better Nigeria and a better Africa. Thank you, Honorable Irene. Thank you, Asia. And thank you, everyone, for joining. We appreciate you, and you have our best wishes in all your endeavors. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Have a lovely, lovely day. Okay, our webinar has ended. Can the team